So, this is Pathway to College's first info session. Today, we'll be talking about how to apply to Questbridge with our Questbridge scholar, Sinmaya Balamuralytharan. Hi, Sinmaya.
Hello. So thank
Um,
you, Pathway to College, for having me share my journey. It's really special.
Thank you for accepting our opportunity and joining us today. So we just have a few questions, kind of an outline of what today is going to look like is we're going to look at the background, how'd you hear of Questbridge, tell us a little bit about yourself, where do you go? Then we'll move into the application process, how did you hear of Questbridge? How was it like applying? And then we'll also talk about, the match process, how did you feel through it, any guidance you received, post-application reflections, and then your advice for students, families looking to get involved in this program. Um, so I guess to start off, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your school, your academic interests.
Okay, so starting a little about me, I was born in Sri Lanka. So I came to America when I was around 7. So I'm still a Sri Lankan citizen. And so being a first gen Sri Lankan Tamil student was really a big part of my identity, and it shaped me toward college itself. I'm also from New York. So growing up in Queens, I went to Francis Lewis High School, which was like a massive school with like 4,000 students. So honestly, it felt like a small city than a school. And in like a place that big, you really had to like make your opportunities and you had to push yourself to get more involved. So I was a kid who like loved building Legos. So I originally gravitated toward like engineering. And at Francis Lewis, I joined an engineering academy as there are like programs based on your careers that you might want to pursue.
Mhm.
And I feel like it was a more structured way for me to like dive into my interest through that academy. And later on, I also created like a club for American Society of Civil Engineers, and I was the president for that club. And it's something I'm still proud of actually, because there weren't any STEM related clubs back in high school at that time. So I wanted to make something that could benefit students who were interested in like engineering and fields of mathematics. So all of this like obviously led me to pursuing civil engineering in college. And now at Tufts, I am majoring in civil engineering and minoring in engineering management, which like lets me combine my technical side with like also leadership and like project management skills. So I'm also part of the steel bridge team here. So we're starting to design a bridge based on like a given scenario. And yeah, that's really cool. It was really fun. So looking back, all these experiences, my like family's journey and my earlier interests and the opportunities I gave myself, like I think it really shaped me to my path in college and what I'm going to do in the future.
That's really great. I didn't know that you started a club on your own, and honestly, I think that's really hard. The first initial phases, you have to like plan out everything because you're kind of like the cornerstone of the club and kind of seeing how that evolved into you choosing your
Mhm.
college, like what you want to do in college. That's really interesting. Um, so moving on to our next question. So how did you hear about Questbridge?
So I heard about Questbridge through like a unique way, actually. Like back in sixth grade, I was attending this SHSAT class. That's like SCT, but for high school in New
Oh.
York. So it was taught by a Tamil uncle. His name is
Mhm.
Ganesh. So he used to like print exam materials out for us.
Mhm.
And I was like in his classes throughout high school for SATs. So he was more of like a mentor figure for me. So one day he just told me about the scholarship Questbridge, and I didn't really realize how big of a deal it was back then because I was like young and college was like far away from me. But that conversation like stuck with me. And looking back, I don't think I would have known about Questbridge if it weren't for him.
Mhm.
There were info sessions in high school though, but I wasn't invited to them, which is insane, but like I wasn't invited to any of the info sessions about Questbridge because they only
Mhm.
selected the students that they thought would be eligible.
Oh,
So yeah. So just
interesting.
like an intro to Questbridge itself, it's like a national nonprofit organization and it welcomes like it advocates for and connects like high achieving low income students with some of like the top colleges in the country through like full ride, full scholarship match process. So some of their partner schools like Ivy Leagues, Yale, Princeton, and I think Harvard and Cornell also joined recently.
Hmm.
And I think just having a resource, a guidance, is something very special to hearing about a thing that you have never heard of before, just like Pathway to Colleges.
Thank you. Um, just a quick side question.
Yeah.
Going through Questbridge, receiving that Questbridge scholarship, did you ever get a chance to go back to the uncle
Once,
and tell him?
yes, I did. He's an architect himself.
Mm-hmm.
So he like helped me through deciding my engineering process and he also helps me with some of the questions that I have.
That's sweet. I'm glad that you have someone close to our
Yeah.
community, guiding you through that.
Mhm.
So you kind of touched on Westbridge itself, which I'm glad you started introducing what it is. But to kind of give more details about it before we jump into the process. Like Sinmaya said, Questbridge Scholarship is a program that connects low-income students to top colleges, like she said, Harvard, Cornell, a lot of the Ivy Leagues, and a lot of the colleges in the top 20 are in there. It is a very selective program, hence why we wanted to invite our Questbridge scholars and Mia to kind of tell us more about our experience. To kick off, could you please summarize what the Questbridge application process is like? Did you have to fill out any essays, letters of recommendations, anything of that sort?
Yeah. So the Questbridge process is really similar to the Common App process, which like many students might be accustomed to. And you can just start the free application on their website. And it like kicks off in like late August and it starts real soon. So you're like in the start of senior year with this huge application. And the deadline is September 30th for this year, which feels really fast, but it actually like forces you to stay focused and know what you're gonna do, even for a Common App itself. Then in like mid-October, they released the list of finalists. So if you were selected into the National College Match program, which is Questbridge, you will have to rank up to like 15 schools. And that ranking is basically like your top choices in order of preference. So if you're matched with the school on your list, that decision is binding, which means you're like committing to attending that school and have to withdraw from any other applications that you might have submitted, even like outside of Questbridge. So, and if you don't get matched, you still aren't out of options. Questbridge will like put your application into the regular decision process with their partner schools. So you can still be admitted later on with like a strong financial aid package. And now with being a finalist, you kind of have to turn around and complete supplemental materials for the schools that you want to rank as well in like early November. And December 1st is when you will find out if you're matched. So I think compared to the regular college process, everything is like condensed in a short timeline. And the application itself just doesn't ask for like grades or test scores. It makes you like reflect on your background and your like family story, maybe your challenges, your goals that you might have, been through. And like I think there's short answers, which makes it different from a common app. And the short answers that I had to personally answer, because I was looking at my application before, and it was like, what is your favorite subject? What inspires you? How do you spend your weekends? Like even small details like what compliments have you received? How do you recover from challenges? So I think they really look into like your skills and resilience part. And like I think that whole journey of just not just having numbers matter, but um like the whole journey
Holistic, right?
mattered. Yeah, it's more, yeah, definitely. So it can be like overwhelming, but the relief is like is immense.
Definitely. It sounds like a very like
Yeah.
multi-step process,
Hmm.
and it looks like it requires a lot of planning. Um, and I'm glad that they actually give a second chance to maybe like those that didn't
Yes.
get selected in finals, but
Exactly.
it's like they were recognizing the potential in their applicants and
Hmm.
kind of giving them a second chance, which is really good to hear. Um, what parts of the application did you personally find challenging? Um, I know like you told me about, it really asked you to look within yourself. Like usually, you're just like, here are my grades, here are my test scores, but this one really asked you to look within and ask who you are as a person. So I kind of want to learn about your mind process or your thought process through that.
Yeah, like writing about yourself in such like a raw and personal way isn't like something we're even used to in school. Like we don't talk about ourselves and write about ourselves in school. And personal statement isn't something that digs deep into your own like background,
Mhm.
which I think could be uncomfortable at times, but the entire process of like getting into college is like coming out of your comfort zone, I think.
Definitely.
So like for me personally, fitting in the hours of like writing and revising was the most challenging part, especially with like AP classes and extracurriculars. And it was just the senior year getting started. And then like writing those essays actually was also rewarding because it forced me to put my words into like how I thought about myself and like what it meant for being a first gen student and coming from this family and how I've adapted to it. So by the end, I felt like I understood myself better through this application, and I think the growth is like part of the process that makes it the most valuable for everyone.
Definitely. Those are really nice words, like, kind of like self-reflecting and seeing that growth. Really nice to hear. Um, so you kind of touched on this. You were saying, it's hard to navigate writing and then revising between AP classes. How did you manage like your deadlines? Did you have any specific time management tools, like skills that you used, or did you maybe like allocate, this time is for revising, writing, just so we can have like our attendees or viewers to follow a similar outline if they're having trouble managing deadlines?
So, as I said, with all the other AP classes, I also treated Questbridge application to be like another AP class. Like, I would just block out specific times in the week, maybe like an hour or two every day for the essays, the forms, because we also had to fill out financial aid forms. So, I think I stuck to that schedule pretty strictly. And if I hadn't, I would have slipped with everything else going on. And I think support also helped like the advices that I got from my teachers who gave feedback on my essays and my counselors. I think that actually made me meet my deadlines. And like I personally would recommend not stressing over making the application like perfect, just staying committed and like putting in the consistent work, even if it's like an hour every day, would be best. And like at the same time, you don't want to pull it off at the last minute because it's a huge application process. And pacing yourself is really important. And I think that's what made me manage my deadlines.
Definitely. I think, looking at instead of like
Hmm.
waiting until last minute, looking at your essays, going back a few days later, looking back at it with a fresh set of eyes is really important because at the end of the day, that application is what Questbridge Admissions Council is seeing as a representation of you. So
Exactly.
no one's perfect, but you
Mhm.
want to deliver the best aspect of you. That
Hmm.
makes sense. So I just want to ask here, I know there's kind of two parts. So you said you applied for the national college match, or is it the college prep scholars? Is that
The
this?
national college match.
Okay. Could you kind of mention like the difference between both?
Yeah. So, like, the National College Match is the main program that
Mhm.
you have to apply during the senior year to like rank your schools and get matched. That's the college process. And the College Prep Scholars is just a summer program where you go into a college and just learn some courses, maybe that pertains to your major. So that's like a separate program that happens in the summer for juniors, and
Mhm.
this is for seniors who
Oh,
have to apply.
okay.
So,
Cool.
me personally, sorry.
No, you're good, you're good.
I've I've never done the college prep scholars program because I've not heard of it.
Mhm.
So I think just don't worry about having to do every single stage to get in because you can still be selected and opportunity is like open and just for anyone to take it.
Definitely. I kind of wanted to know what was it like to rank colleges, hearing back as a finalist, you're in that relief, but you're like, okay, now I have to rank colleges. What kind of went through your mind at that time, and what were some factors that you considered while ranking your colleges?
Yeah, so as I said before, the ranking I think is like the most important because it's a binding process which you will have to commit to. So the whole process makes it like feel real. And I think you're not just at saying like I like these schools, so I want to rank these schools, but you actually have to put them in order that if you match, that's what you're going to. So I ended up ranking 8 schools and Tufts was number 5 on my list. So I still remember like trying to balance like dream schools with like the places that I've actually think that I'll thrive in. So it forced me to like go beyond just prestige, like thinking about is that what I want, or like community, location, like the program size. Tufts itself is a very small school and the support systems. So looking back, I think just asking yourself, can I really see myself here for 4 years, is something that made me want to rank the schools in that order. And I recommend that others do the same instead of just looking at the prestige of the school.
Definitely. I think that's a really important aspect because yes, it does look good, sound good when you say, oh, I'm going to, I don't know, like Harvard, I'm going to Columbia, I'm going to Yale.
Mhm.
But if you don't feel comfortable there as a student, if you're not getting the support, the resources that you need, then that college isn't really doing much for you. So, like you said, I'm glad that you emphasized that you kind of place yourselves in the sh shoes of a student there. How would I process? Like, how would I like act if I was a student there? I think putting yourself in those shoes are really important. And, I hope you're happy at Tufts.
Yes.
Um, so I'm glad that you made a good decision for yourself and that you're encouraging others to do the same. Um, and kind of going back to the results. So when did you hear about the results and how did you react, when you learned that you got into Tufts?
I still remember like December 1st was the day. So I was walking out of school with my friend. Like I knew that match results came out and I was nervous, like trying to refresh the page. And when I saw that I was like the little ribbons came down, it was like congrats. And so I was matched. I had like a mix of like pride and like excitement. And I like quickly called Amma and I was like, I was trying to tell her and I was shivering while speaking. And all those like late nights working on the essay, all the stress of like deadlines, it suddenly like felt worth it. And more than anything, like I was able to breathe and relax for the rest of the senior year. My family was so proud of me.
Of course. I mean,
Yeah,
going through this entire process, getting into like one of the top schools in the nation, that's something to be really proud about. And, you being here, sharing that experience with us here, we're also very thankful for as well.
thank you for having me as well.
Of course. Um, so moving on to our next section about post-application reflections, how could you um let us know how your life has changed since being accepted through Questbridge?
Yeah. So like so it changed in many ways actually. So at Tufts, going into civil engineering and having the resources of a big school, but the community of a small program is a great thing that Questbridge has gave me. And the networking opportunities with Questbridge is insane. So I'm part of the Questbridge Scholars Network. So I met so many people who share like similar backgrounds and experiences as me. And the support is like nothing that I've experienced before. So right now I'm actually looking for a summer internship with Questbridge Partner um, through their website. So I think it's not just getting into college, but like the opportunities that they offer even after getting in is insane.
Mhm. I'm glad that they support like throughout your college process. So it's not just like, okay, we got you into college, done and deal, but it's like they continue to support you. And I think that's really important. A side question that I kind of have for you here. Do you know if they only support you through your undergrad? Do they do any supporting to get you to graduate school for those who may want to?
So I do know that there is a MBA graduate school with Questbridge where you can apply for a like a full scholarship for that.
Mhm.
But currently there isn't any for engineering.
Mhm.
There is one for medical. So there are various aspects to it for graduate school as well, which I think they also provide on their website. So it's not just for undergrad, but even in your
Right.
future and networking.
That's great. Definitely like we'll be sharing these resources as we put
Mhm.
out this video. Um, what advice would you give to students who are hesitant or unsure about applying?
So I think it's like just go for it. Just apply. Like don't overthink that you're not good enough or like you don't think that you need to get matched. Like this entire process itself is valuable enough because like writing those essays, putting together the application will help you understand like yourself better than any other things that you will do in your entire like school year with writing. So
Mhm.
I think you can carry that forward with anything. And I also feel like it's similar to the Common App process. So it gives you the real feel. And the personal statement is the same thing that you can use for your Common App. So even if you don't get matched, Questbridge still like opens doors for like regular decision process to come in. Like for me, my graduating year, there were 8 students who were finalists, and I think 3 of us, including me, got matched. So the people who did not get matched, who were finalists, still ended up going to amazing colleges since like experiencing writing the supplements and getting through that deadlines really gave them a huge advantage. And one of them also got into Colby, who was also a Questbridge partner through the regular decision. So it can feel intimidating, but like you have nothing to lose and like everything to gain when you're in that application.
I also have a question since you mentioned your
Yeah.
friend. So the
Mhm.
friend that went through the regular decision, are they also considered to be part of the Questbridge Scholar Network?
Yes, they are. Through the regular decision. If you're a finalist, you're in the Questbridge Scholars Network
Got it.
itself.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then looking back, is there anything you wish you had known before you started applying, or maybe during your application process?
So, like as I mentioned right now, the community that Questbridge has is really something I wish I had known before. Because I thought it was mostly about the scholarship and missions program, but after I got involved, I began to know like a lot more scholars, mentors, and opportunities out there, even through Questbridge, like the summer internship that I plan on applying to. And like thinking about that, I think I would have been more excited to apply if I had known about every opportunity that keeps on coming to you. instead of you going after it is
Definitely.
something, yeah.
Yeah, it's always nice to have a network to lean back on, and especially
Hmm.
one as expansive as Questbridge. I'm sure there are countless opportunities. And one, I guess we're in our final few questions. What advice would you have for parents that are looking to support their students during this process? And what should parents understand about Questbridge? Like a few important points.
Okay, so I think the biggest thing is that families should encourage and trust their children because you don't need to know every detail about Questbridge, but like just giving your child the time and space to work on their application, believing in them, especially as first gen students, the process is overwhelming because you're the first ones in your families doing it. So having those parents and guardians like support you, show the patience, and also be involved in like the financial sections of the application is really useful because they do require like information about income, taxes. So just being present with them during the application process, like helping them gather the documents, as like students typically can't do it on their own. So the guidance and involvement of the parents is something that they should also understand because it's not just the student themselves alone being burdened to do a huge thing. Like, I know that your child is going to get into a full ride scholarship, but it's also that they will get more guidance and like network, as I mentioned before. So it's a support that you show your child that they're not alone. Like it reinforces, like I think their potential to be recognized and like valued.
Mhm. Definitely. Those are some really great points. And that's all the questions I really have for you today. Just want to take a moment to thank you once again for, sharing your story. I'm pretty sure that, whoever's watching, they may have learned a lot. I know I learned a lot, even though I'm well past the pro but I didn't know that there was, like a network. I honestly thought, it ended at the scholarship. So I'm glad that, they have a network and they continue to support you through college. And I hope that, whoever's interested in Questbridge and is watching this recording is also, learning so much. And hopefully they decide to apply to Questbridge. So thank
Yes.
you so much, Sinmaya, for joining us today.
And I'm really grateful to Pathway to College for like giving me the chance to share my journey. And I think like I hope by sharing my experience, other students, families, even though it's hard, they'll navigate it and come out with the opportunities that can like truly change their life. So I'm glad to be a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you.